Another beautiful time to talk sport right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice, and this is Dominion Sport. It is either make or mar for the Super Eagles of Nigeria in Bloemfontein, right there in South Africa, as we take on South Africa right there for the World Cup qualifications. Good morning to you. I am Paul Abe Toluwanimi, and I have Samson Balogun here to talk sport with me this wonderful morning. The man with unbiased analysis and undiluted report. We'll be looking at the discussion this morning on the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Yes, sir, we have so much to look into the battle ahead of today's game by 5 p.m. Also, we'll be looking at other stories making the round in the world of sport, the world of athletics, where the athletic team are preparing to take off to Tokyo. Also, we'll be looking at the world of table tennis. Aruna Quadri is speaking on his 15 years journey with Nigeria. Also, we'll be looking at the World Cup qualification and other stories making the rounds in the world of sport. Remember, yesterday we said we're going to discuss the Formula One and look at the result that happened right here in Italy. All this and more on the show this wonderful morning. Samson, good morning to you.
Well, good morning to you, Tolu. It's really nice to be here again to talk sports, as we do always. We do say this, that it's our tagline anyway, that this is where we bring your bias analysis and undiluted reporter. So sit back, relax. There's a lot to talk about. The Super Eagles of Nigeria, they are raring to go against South Africa later in the day. But we don't just want that to be an expression. We want to be an act on the field of play. So it's really a good time to be alive to watch the Super Eagles, even though nobody is really, happy that we are still back in the era
at this stage of where we are pen to paper
and say,
running.
If Benin Republic beat South Africa, and
if Lesotho does not beat Rwanda,
it's a lot to undo at this time. So we just believe that at least they should reduce the deficit on the log by defeating South Africa today. That brings them to 14 points away from the initial 11 points, and then South Africa will be stuck at 16, and then there's a chance that if South Africa travels to Benin Republic or maybe one of the teams can just pull a stunt, at least Nigeria should be in a position to qualify.
All right, that's what we'll be discussing this morning. But quick one, let's look at what is displayed on the screen, and that's the match day fixture between South Africa and Nigeria right there by 5 p.m. Now, quick one, head-to-head start. Samson, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have the head-to-head start against South Africa, 9 wins. South Africa with just 2 wins, and also look at the draw. We just have that draw 6 draws right there for between these two sides, Nigeria and South Africa. Going into this game, also we had, Eric Kashia was also speaking about, Victor Osimhen's absence. Also speaking about the point deduction, and I think what we are seeing is a bit of eyesore for me. It's a massive disgrace. Look at the pitch where these two teams are going to play, and you ask the question. Hugo Bross, spoke saying, he cannot understand why they had to play in that stadium, and and they asked the question saying, what are you going to do about it? And he said, come on, if I was in the know of this issue, I'm sure I would have said we should not have this game played in the stadium. And you see the pictures, of the stadium. Really, really, really disheartening to see such an huge game being played in this stadium. For you, Samson, let's look at the Super Eagles game quickly. This is a must-win game. Right. And, you look at the game against Rwanda, I'm sure you can pick out your positive. You look at the defensive line, you look at the midfield, you look at the attacking, what needs to be done, going forward against South Africa. They say, you don't change a team that picked up, that is winning games for you at this point in time. But for you, would you want to make some changes, that can, affect the game for the Super Eagles going forward in the first half or second half?
You see, at this time, I think the Super Eagles have a lot to undo. It's a lot to undo for the Super Eagles away from home. Yes, you are talking about not changing a winning team, but in a situation like this, you have to put your best leg forward, and that's the challenge with the Super Eagles coach. Does he even know, what his best 11 looks like? Yeah. I don't think so. Does he even know exactly what to do in this game? I do not think so, because I have seen, for the first time in a long time, I now see, I am beginning to see the Super Eagles of Nigeria, despite the array of stars being paraded in that team. I'm seeing them as just an average team in Africa as we speak, regardless of, how much it costs to buy each player by their club side. So, put it that aside, they look more ordinary than usual. And that is not far-fetched because of how they play. right now. I think they are too ordinary with their play. The free-flowing football, the fluidity we used to know, with the Super Eagles is no longer there. And then you begin to see how they force play. They force the game like, it's rocket science. I mean, you saw how the Rwandans were passing the ball around. Smooth, fluid. They know when to attack, they know when to defend, they know when to hold on to the ball, maybe because the tempo was becoming too high for them. Just keep the ball. Then when the time comes for you to attack, you will do the same. So I don't see that in the Super Eagles. And I see them always wanting to score goals when at least you can just play a little bit.
Play a little bit.
Let your opponents get tired of you, and then you strike. But unfortunately, I don't see that narrative in how things are being done in the Super Eagles. And it's not every ball that you get from your goalkeeper to the defender that ends up, in the opposition half. Sometimes you just have to keep the momentum, keep the ball, pass the ball around, and then when they are a little bit tired or weary, then you start pressing forward. Well, the coach might just see it as an opportunity to say, look, let's eat them on a counter. Once we have the ball, let's just rush it. But then when you rush, you lose the ball, and then you might end up conceding a goal. And, in a game like this, one of the things you should consider is, keeping your defense tight, keeping it watertight at the back. If that is not done, I mean, you have a lot to lose. For example, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, they need all 3 points. How do you win all 3 points when you concede first?
Yeah, true.
So it's more or less like a hill that needs to be climbed. So you can't. It's already a challenge playing against South Africa on their own turf, as bad as that pitch is. It's going to be a major problem when you concede first. So the first thing for you to do is, I think it's my idea anyway, but the coach can actually look into that. For the first 10-15 minutes of the game, you can just see how the South Africans want to play, contain them, and then see how energetic they are, how good they are on that pitch, because that might just be a setup for the Super Eagles. Let's take them to a bumpy pitch, and then let's see how they can actually get used to it. But if you look at the South African team, majority of them play at home. They play at home, and then you see it's a blend of a little bit of players abroad, and then most of them.
If you look at the player abroad, you can pick 2, 3, 4.
Yes, most of them play in the PSL, so they understand the terrain. They are playing at home. It's more or less like you doing your thing where you
normally.
So it's not going to be too much challenge for them. One, they have the bragging right.
True.
They are top of the log with 16 points. Two, they have nothing to lose.
Even
if they lose this game to the Super Eagles, they still have huge advantage ahead of every other team in that. The situation now is that there are some teams that even play their home games in South Africa. So it's more or less like not really a challenge for South Africans, but one thing they'll be looking for in this is that the closer the Super Eagles get to them, the more of a problem it becomes to the South African team. Now, if you have a momentum that you have built, if it breaks, to get it back will be a problem. So the South Africans who don't want to break this momentum, they are already gathering. I think this is Korea-Japan 2002. They have not been at the World Cup, except for when they hosted by themselves.
Yeah, the 2010 World Cup.
2010. So it's more or less like a chance for them to say, look, we're also qualified to play at this occasion. That's why I've always said, it's not about how many players you bring from abroad. It's about the heart to play for the team. And as it stands, if you look at the starting 11 of the Super Eagles at home, all of them play abroad. The only player that played on the African soil in that team was Stanley Nwabali, who plays for Chippa United in South Africa. He's the only African player based in Africa in the team. The rest of them actually came from one team in Europe or America or whatever.
Aside from the Amos
Obasoje, he's on the bench. I'm saying about the starting 11 against Rwanda.
Yeah.
So aside from Amos Obasoje, who plays for Bendel Insurance, I think he's also on his way out of the team as we speak. But if we put that into context, Nigeria has a lot to lose. One, Nigerians do really want to be at the World Cup, and it's more or less like there are some players who have never been to the World Cup, and some of them are there who have been there before. Victor Osimhen has never played at the World Cup. As big as Victor Osimhen is, he needs that. So you see that the passion in him, the burning fire in him is more than that of any other player in that team. Can everyone, light their own candle from Victor Osimhen and say, look, let's just tap into this
Yeah,
current
yeah,
and make things happen.
honestly
Well, I don't
speaking,
see that.
well,
So you were mentioning if I want a change in that
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
Now in the game later today.
Yeah, because hold on, Samson. You were talking about defense, and you said, you must be able to
That's
defend
what I'm going to,
in the
where
20
I'm
minutes.
going.
So I was about speaking about Benjamin Fredericks. Would you start the same Benjamin Frederick? Fantastic, debut for him right against Rwanda. But you look at the South African side. Is he fit? Does he have the experience, or would you rather, go for a William Troost-Ekong right there? Go ahead.
That's where I'm going. I think in terms of experience, he doesn't really have it. He's kind of a very young player like that, and then he doesn't have the experience to play on big occasions like that. But I would not rule out his brute, performance against Rwanda. I mean, that's no fluke. That's who he is.
Yeah.
So he's up to the task,
Play,
if I want to put it that way. But my only fear is Calvin Bassey in that team.
Why? Go on.
It's Calvin Bassey. Calvin Bassey is a fantastic defender.
Yes, he is.
But he gambles a lot. And then when you see a defender that believes so much in shadow marking, then you would really fear for yourself.
It looks like you have done your own work of Calvin Bassey.
Yeah, so if you would fear for yourself, the only time you see Calvin Bassey man marking is if it's under the instruction of the coach. And when you man mark, it actually reduces your risk of losing your player. But if you shadow mark and then you are triangulated, it becomes a problem.
It becomes a problem for you.
And then
you're out of position.
You are even out of the game. You are no longer there because right there and then you'll be lost.
It happened.
The ball is already behind you.
It actually happened in the 85th minute of the game against Rwanda.
That's it.
It happened clear, and I'm like,
Where's
bro.
Calvin Bassey? So if that is not read correctly, it will be a problem. Now, Troost-Ekong brings stability, he brings experience,
yeah.
and he brings competence. I would love to see Benjamin Fredericks playing alongside William Troost-Ekong.
Not
ahead of Calvin Bassey.
Ahead of Calvin Bassey.
Calvin Bassey is a very strong player. He has defensive qualities.
Yeah.
But I'm just scared about his ability to concentrate for 90 minutes. He's one kind of player that, he starts well.
And one of the major problems with Nigeria is concentration. We lose that easily.
I fear for his concentration. I don't think he has the ability to be on the field of play and concentrate for 90 minutes. And he more or less shifts his attention away from football and then does a little bit of fashion on the field of play. Sometimes you see his pants right there.
Sag down.
So I want to believe that if the coach really wants results, he will probably talk to Calvin Bassey to take it slow a little bit and work on his concentration. And that can be done by Stanley Nwabali in goal. If you can call him to order, if he is strong enough to give him instructions, then I think they will get it right in defense.
Honestly speaking, we're still going to talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria because, the names you're mentioning, you're giving me the talking point to ask my questions already. You mentioned Stanley Nwabali. Trust me, when you talk about a player in Nigeria that I've not been comfortable with, is Stanley Nwabali. And it happened against Rwanda. Massive indiscipline. Now, you got a yellow card in that game, and that you did not need. Now, and you saw the players, trying to restrict you back, for not making charges. Don't make complaints again. The referee have given you the card. But it looks like his own captain, Wilfred Ndidi, could not even control him. By the end of the day, it went back. Then the next thing, while watching the game was, he picked up the ball. You wanted to throw the ball, to your players, and the next thing you're doing was, push your position player off the head. I'm sure the referee did not say that, that went aside. The next thing we saw Stanley Nwabali do again was, you got the ball, and the next thing was your leg sliding off the player off the. And we wondering, come on, the social media was buzzing, over the weekend, wondering why is Stanley Nwabali acting like this. I'm sure if you have picked up a red card in that game, it's going to be a massive problem for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So why can't you keep your head cool? And that's my question. That's one question for you on Stanley Nwabali's indiscipline. And it has happened over time. When you watch Stanley Nwabali, you wonder what exactly are you doing? What are you doing at this point in time? That's one. Two. Also, right now, Victor Osimhen is not in the squad of the Super Eagles. For you, what would you want to see start off? Is it Tolu Alokodare? Would you like to see Cyrus Dessers also play? And also for the midfield position, would you still want, an Iwobi to still play you know, in the middle of the park right there between, you know, either Wilfred Ndidi or, you know, Frank Onyeka, or would you prefer Fisayo Dele Bashiru, you know, starting off?
Well, let me start from Stanley Nwabali. Over time, it's no news that Stanley Nwabali is one player, hot-headed player, if I want to put it that way. And I think one of his own undoing in his career so far is the fact that he has a track record of indiscipline. And nobody wants to, you know, bring a player with that kind of level of indiscipline into their team. You see that it even affects your value in the transfer market. And then you only be able to go to minor teams and teams of, you know, even if you get a deal abroad, it will only be to smaller teams, not a big team who knows exactly. See, we have had Nigerian players with their fair share. Victor Osimhen, for example, is a fantastic player. Yeah. But one act of indiscipline cost him what he's currently going to now. Osimhen is one player that could have actually, you know, got a move ahead of Ekitike, Alexander Isak, and the likes, because he's a quality player and a goal-getter. Yeah. But why was Osimhen shipped out to Turkey instead of Premier League, Italian Serie A, and a host of other places, even Germany? That is because, see, one thing, the live broadcast he did, where he lampooned and lambasted Coach Finidi George at the time, shows exactly what kind of human being he is. Nobody wants to bring that kind of toxicity into their own team. So the moment he did that, I said to myself, this guy's finished. Though he's not finished yet. I think, you know, the next 1 or 2 years...
It's not where we want Victor Osimhen to be.
That's right. Yeah. And maybe in the next 1 or 2 years, people will get to forget what happened last year, and then we'll be able to move on from there. But my concern is he has, you know, a particular time. There's a particular time frame for players. At 25 to 30, that's when they consider your peak period. And Osimhen fits in right in that. So if he spends 2 years in Turkey,
if you talk about peak period, I'm sorry, we're going to digress a little bit. You know, so why you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, you look at Messi. These guys are not even on their peak. They are actually a fantastic player.
You see, you know, only in exceptional cases you have players like that. It's in exceptional cases.
And
we have had quality players that even did not clock 30 before they faded. We had players like Adriano. We had players like even Kaká at a point dropped to Rubio. So South American players sometimes, you know, they peak early and then they fade off early too. So it happens like that. So it depends on which continent you are coming from. I do not know what mathematics or what chemistry works that way, but what I do know is African players, they don't start early. But then when it is time, age catches up with them. Their career is somewhere in between. For an average European, if you start early, you might still play till like let's say 31, 32, 33 before you fade off.
True, and some players, even their peak is still 30.
It's still 30.
They'll pick 30, 31, 32.
It depends on where. That's why there's a benchmark. There's a time frame where you can peak.
True.
But then Victor Osimhen fits in between the African belt of that peak. So he's currently there, and I do hope that before he spends too much of that in Turkey, he'll be able to make a big move to other teams. Now, away from there, he will not be in the team today, and I do expect you know, the coach to put in Tolu Arokodare straight away. Reason being that if you truly want to win against South Africa, you don't allow their defenders to be a part of the play. Because if they do, they will be in midfield. Their midfielders will be right at the edge of your box, and their strikers will be in your net.
Yeah, true.
So there's no way you can survive not being boxed into your own half. But if you put a lanky forward like Tolu Arokodare up there, it means it contains two players. The two centre backs will be busy handling Tolu Arokodare, while Moses Simon, Ademola Lookman, or Samuel Chukwueze gets to operate freely. Now, the problem is, if that is created, if Tolu Arokodare is there, it pins down two players. And once that is done, can we contain them in midfield? That is where I think we need a combative midfielder like Frank Onyeka in that team. He's a box-to-box kind of player. He comes in, supports you in defense, and the next minute you already see him at the edge of the opposition box. So I want to see a player like Frank Onyeka in that team. Wilfred Ndidi too will do a very good job stabilizing, being the deep line playmaker we need. And Alex Iwobi does the tip-tap kind of job.
You prefer Alex Iwobi?
Well, there's no option. There's no other alternative
if
to a playmaker.
Or Chrisantos Uche can do that?
Well, Chrisantos Uche would fit better when he plays right behind the striker. And I do not think the coach wants to play
that formation.
But if he truly wants to do that, I think Chrisantos Uche will do a very good job. He's strong, he's combative, and of course he has this goal instinct. If he has the opportunity, even without the striker, then we can do the hold-up play and knockdowns. If Tolu Arokodare can do knockdowns for Chrisantos Uche, it will be a fantastic one. Because Iwobi will be non-functional there. If he gets knocked down, he's still going to pass the ball back to someone. So if the coach can actually do more or less like Tolu Arokodare up front, put Chrisantos Uche, then do Wilfred Ndidi and then Frank Onyeka. Yes, some people might question the creativity that will come out of it, but Wilfred Ndidi is not a bad player when it comes to creativity.
He's not.
He has improved that with Leicester City last season and the season before. They were in relegation and the coach actually moved him from DM to CM, where he was able to do some central midfield
and get goals.
And even got goals and assists. So Wilfred Ndidi can actually do that, though might not do it exceptionally well, but it will fit in perfectly fine and also do a little bit of shift in defensive midfield. Now, Frank Onyeka will bring stability when it comes to defending. He's a combative midfielder. You find him, he's more or less like the Nigerian N'Golo Kante as we speak. We used to have someone like Onazi in the team, but now Okenekaru and Tebo. Those guys are no longer in the team, so we have Frank Onyeka who can do that. Now, the combination of these three players, either Chrisantos Uche or Alex Iwobi. But Frank Onyeka, definitely you need him in this kind of game because the South Africans have strong players. They are not the kind of players who play abroad that will come and do big man football for you. They are coming to play good football and they are combative. If you see how they play, you know they mean business. For every little opportunity they get, they want to get the ball off you. And then mass attack, mass defense is what they do. So they defend collectively and attack collectively. So the moment they get the ball, you realize the fact that they are, even as a striker, if you are not defending, they have left you in their box and then they are doing their other business on the other half of the field. So how do we stop them from doing mass attack, mass defense? Put a Tolu Arokodare there. It pins down two central defenders.
And nobody wants to up the space for the wingers.
Yes. So nobody wants to leave a Tolu Arokodare in their own half. True. Because the moment he gets the ball, he's not a bad player with his feet too. No. He doesn't even rely on his head to score goals. Look at the acrobatic goal he got against Rwanda. He was already lying down there, but natural instinct of a goal scorer came to play, and of course he got us the goal. Luckily for us anyway. But if he's there, means he has nullified or neutralized two central defenders. Two defenders, let me put it that way. Automatically, Nigeria has one free player. How do we maximize that and use that as an advantage? That is left to the coach. And of course, the natural instinct of the player. But today is a day where the coach has to encourage the players to let their natural instincts, their individual brilliance also play a role. Because if you box them into instructions against a South African team that is so dynamic, then you have a challenge. Because now an Ademola Lookman will get a ball, probably dribble past one player, instead of shooting instinctively like he would have done, he will be looking for someone to give the ball to. And then who are you giving it to? Is it Alex Iwobi that will side foot? So it's going to be a problem. But I do think that Tolu Arokodare's hold-up play will help the Super Eagles immensely. All
right, I'm going to ask the fans who are watching the video, are watching Dominion Sport at this point in time, to drop their predictions on the comment section. And if you're correct with the predictions, you go home with something tomorrow on the show. So come on, drop your predictions between South Africa and Nigeria. What do you think is going to get the victory? Correct predictions, what we are going to pick on the show. A quick one, something before we move away from the game between South Africa and Nigeria. For you, Williams of the goalkeeper Ron Williams of South Africa, do you think this man is going to be a major force for our attackers going into this game?
Well, I do say something to people that when it comes to goals, you can only keep out an attempt. You don't stop goals. You don't stop goals. And if the strikers get it correctly, I don't think any keeper can stop a goal. They can only stop attempts.
But something we saw what the Rwandan goalkeeper did over the weekend.
Yes, it was massive. It was massive. But eventually, when Nigeria needed to score goals, they actually got a goal. So it now depends on how many chances we
to
create,
create,
and then
do you
what
convert?
is the conversion rate.
Yeah.
So if we are able to convert our chances, I think the Super Eagles can win this game. But one of the things you have to do is to dictate play. If you let the South Africans play, they are very fast. You can't eat them on the counter. You have to, really get it right when it comes to playing, and then play them into their own box and get the goal.
Right.
So if you want to do a counter-attacking style of play, that is why I feel that this game might not really favor Nigerian wingers unless Tolu Arukodare draws the defender to himself. Yeah. And if he is able to do that, there will be freedom. And then passes, that's another challenge. And then passes can now actually be moved, right over their wing backs.
So right now it depends on if Tolu Arukodare is doing the whole job of trying to, draw the defender to himself and laying up the pass, who is distributing the pass?
That's why I said
to the wingers
that's another problem.
Yeah.
So the problem is that for the last 15, 20 years, if I may put it that way, I think Germany 2006, I think Austin J.J. Okocha retired around just before Germany 2006 or around that time. And, since that time, I don't think Nigeria has been able to effectively replace him. And the problem is we were looking for an Austin J.J. Okocha in other players. So if Nigerians actually, take their minds off Austin J.J. Okocha, let's look for a player who can dazzle. After Austin J.J. Okocha, remember, we had Christian Obodo, Wilson Oruma. At the point they played together before J.J. Okocha left the team, and then they continued from there. So these are quality players that played too. But even at that time, as good as they were, people still did not believe they were effective replacements for Austin J.J. Okocha.
Honestly speaking, for me, Samson, maybe if a certain Joe Aribo was, playing consistent football with his club side, I think he would have been a perfect fit, for a proper 10 we are looking for. Because if you look at what he did, when he made his debut season, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, fantastic player in his own time. But, I guess maybe, not having game time with his club side and also fitness, didn't allow him get so much call-up for the Super Eagles.
Yeah, Joe Aribo is also a very good creative midfielder. Yeah. But he has a very low energy, and playing for the Super Eagles, takes a lot from football. You. And this is African football. So when you play, abroad, even with Southampton, at the point he had issues, he could not really feature for them because of his kind of energy. I think it would be better suited if he plays in Germany or maybe somewhere in Scotland.
Maybe go back to Scotland, go back to Rangers, where he got that deal.
The tempo and style of play really suits those leagues quite easy. They don't really, stress themselves that much. Or maybe Belgium, it works there. But the truth is, since he came to England, he has not really been the Joe Aribo we expected, and that was when his involvement in the Super Eagles reduced drastically. So if he can actually secure a deal somewhere else, play regular football, maybe he would feature. Now, the person that could have actually filled that position, but really did not live up to expectation, would have been Aruna Lukman. Aruna Lukman played under 17, under 20, under 20.
I think that's one player also that went from the old to the ranks.
He went through the ranks, and I really expected him to, become really big, especially for the Super Eagles. But I really do not know what happened.
Because
yes, well, Uwakali discipline actually, put an end to his own development, and it ended there. And since then he has been struggling. Because if you look at the context, Nigeria has really produced a lot of quality midfielders, especially in defensive midfield. Yes, we have not been lucky with creativity or creative midfielders. But when it comes to defensive midfield, we have had Ogeye Onazi, we have had Yusuf Ayila. I mean, these are quality players. Sunday Olise at the point played that role for the Super Eagles. Was more or less like a deep lying playmaker, could actually swing play from one wing to the other without leaving his base. So he was a quality player. A lot of players in midfield for Nigeria in terms of quality. But the problem is maybe it has to do with the coach. Maybe it has to do with selection. I don't want to believe there's no playmaker out there that can feel that. I do not want to believe that. Unless you are not looking in the right direction. And we have seen players who really did not get the nod. For example, Rabiu Ali has been with Kano Pillars for God knows how long. Are you saying Rabiu Ali didn't deserve to be in the Super Eagles at one point or the other? Give this guy a chance. Rabiu Ali is over 40 now. Is this when you are going to invite Rabiu Ali? I mean, that's over. I think we can actually look inward. Yeah. Check the Nigerian setup. Can we actually get a quality player that can be given during friendly games, for crying out loud? Give him an opportunity to express himself on the field of play, and if it is cool with you, then he becomes a member in the team. Yeah. But the challenge is every player that plays in Nigeria after 1 or 2 years, even before you really discover yourself, you're already in Albania, you are in Cyprus, you are this, you are that, and then
they leave your mentioning right now.
And they fade off like that. Actually. But if you are really become, you know, a superstar from Nigeria, when you want to travel, you get to, you know, sign a deal that really suits you. You get to dictate, you know, by that time you have about 3, 4, 5 teams looking for your signature, true. And then you'll be able to pick, oh, where am I going? That I'll be able to play active football, first-team football. Because one of the things African players don't, the questions they don't ask when traveling is, if I'm going to this team, will I play? So they just sign because, oh, I'm leaving Nigeria, and I'm earning thousands of dollars every week, and then they just leave. So you realize that once they get to a team, they are sitting on the bench, and then after a season or two, they are firmed out to another team, and then they start all over again. So if we really get it right when it comes to advising these players on what to do, because it is never too late to change things. So advise Nigerian players, especially quality ones that are already in the Super Eagles, when making a move. Have you considered everything involved? It's not just about how much you want to earn this time. It's about your game time, your level of fitness. As an African player played in this team in recent years and succeeded, that's another question. So track record of teams, and then check the history. If it suits you, then make the move. If it doesn't, look for other teams. There are alternatives everywhere.
Right, all right. You know, that's the update coming through from Samson Balogun, giving us, you know, his expert analysis right there on the go. We're discussing the Super Eagles against South Africa. Like I said, you can drop your predictions right there in the comment section. Also, before the show, you know, comes to an end, I'm going to ask Samson's own prediction ahead of that game. Now, quick one. Let's move away from football. Let's talk, you know, athletics. At this point in time, the world champions team Nigeria depart for Tokyo today. Nigeria athletes and officials will depart the country today on Tuesday, and the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan, scheduled to begin on Saturday, 13th of September. While some US-based athletes have already arrived in Tokyo, the departing group includes a blend of athletes and officials. Last week, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria unveiled 15-athlete roster comprising 7 women and 8 men. Leading the squad is 100-meter hurdle world record holder and 2022 world champion Tobi Amusan, aiming to rediscover a top form. She's joined by shot putter Chukwuebuka and also 400 hurdle prospector Ezekiel Nathaniel. A long jump star Eze Brume, the African record holder, with a leap of 7.17 meter, also makes the list. Tokyo has been historical and a successful venue for Brume, rising up for other podium finish. Right here, Amusan remains the only Nigerian to have ever won a world title, courtesy of a record-breaking run in Oregon, USA at the 2022 edition. Samson, for you, we are moving to Tokyo today, and you know, what's it going to be like for our athletes right there? Can we get the medals coming in for them right there in Tokyo?
Well, I think the only realistic chance Nigeria has of getting a medal right there in Tokyo is Tobi Amusan, and she's on the
You're not looking at Chukwuebuka and Eze Brume?
You see, the truth is, you know, the reason I'm saying we are going to get a medal, and I mentioned Tobi Amusan, is because
you just mentioned one person.
The only,
out of 9 women, 8 men.
Listen, the only reason I even mentioned Tobi Amusan, I would have said we should not expect any medal, is because Tobi Amusan doesn't rely or wait for Nigeria to get herself prepared. Even without, you know, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, she's always there in, in Ogun State, trying to, you know, put herself in the best shape. And if she has to travel, she travels. And then, you know, she's constantly, you know, training. She sees this as not just about Nigeria. It's about her own career, personal career. And she's been doing exceptionally well for herself. And the track records are there for everyone to see. And if you want to check how successful she has been, you can check her profile. So, on a personal level, with her own profile, that's why I'm saying a
You
glimmer
believe
of
that
hope.
a glimmer of
That
hope,
there's a chance.
there's a medal.
There's a chance that no matter how difficult it's going to be, even if it is going to be bronze medal, I think we're still going to get one through Toby Amusan.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the team, I'm not a pessimist, but I want to tell you that the level of preparation, how these athletes are being treated, they are way different to how athletes in Senna climbs are being treated.
Yeah.
And I can tell for a fact that most of these athletes are still, with the Nigerian team, just because offers are not here, or because they are patriotic enough to stay. Because you don't want to tell me that someone like Toby Amusan has not received offers to switch allegiance to another country, just like
Favour
Ofili did with Turkey. So I want to believe that at this time, we should go back to the drawing board. Unfortunately, this is not the time for the drawing board because they're already going for the competition.
Yeah, they're in the competition already.
But then, there's nothing bad in you retracing your steps, checking where you got it wrong, and see if you can correct things before they can become bad than the way you would want it to be. But now, as they are traveling, what is their welfare package going to look like? Has it been determined that for every occasion you get for every outing you get so amount of money? Is it that it is until one athlete finishes the heat and qualifies for the next round, then there will be argument about, is it $2,000, is it $5,000, is it $1,000? This should have been decided before leaving. Every athlete on the team knows that if I qualify for the next phase of the heat, I guess also amount of money. Yeah. So don't go and do negotiations with the players there. Not until they threaten to go on strike.
Before
you give them money.
Is
it rocket science? It's not rocket science now. It's just like you are going out. You don't even have a budget. I'm going today. Today I will be at Challenge. I will be at Bodija. I will be at Bere. And then what will it cost me to be at these 3 locations? What route am I following? Am I going to Challenge first? See, this is what they call planning. And then with that, it will cost me 3,500 to tour these places today. And you already know that you have a budget of 3,500 naira. It is not until you now get to Bere and you want to go to Bodija, and then you are thinking of who to call to send you more money so you can finish your journey, or you come back home abruptly without finishing what you are going there to do. So it's a disgrace that we do see this. In fact, when I see this on national papers and it is being discussed on national television, I get really disappointed about the Athletics Federation of Nigeria.
Samson, this story we're about to speak about right now is still very heartbreaking. And this is an icon. I'm talking about Haruna Quadri. He's speaking and he's saying, he's talking about his 15 years journey in the world of sport, acknowledging the vital role of his private sponsors and individuals in his rise, while lamenting the lack of government support right there. In a Facebook post on Sunday, Haruna recalled how his career took off in 2010 when he moved to Portugal to play in the Portuguese Super League. 15 years ago, I arrived in Portugal to play as a professional table tennis player in the Portuguese Super League, competing almost every weekend for my club, he wrote. Haruna relieved that most of its international outings were made possible through the support of individuals, particularly Barrister Waheed Enitan Oshodi, now the president of the African Table Tennis Federation. Intentionally, I played at least one tournament every month with the backing of Barrister Oshodi. His financial support helped me to improve rapidly, he noted. The African #1, however, highlighted the challenges he faced representing Nigeria, often and competing without a coach. He said, with zero support from Nigeria government, I played 99% of tournaments alone. Without a coach, I had to fund most of my travels myself, he said. Haruna recounted the 2014 World Cup in Germany, where his then sponsor, Jola, provided him with a German coach, while Oshodi covered his flight and accommodation cost. And the extra support, he explained, that propelled him to the quarterfinal stage. Fast forward to 2025 World Championship in Doha. Haruna relieved he had to buy his own ticket after the Nigerian Federation failed to act in time. I played my first 2 matches without a coach, and I felt very comfortable. Now, he said, talking about the coach, he was also sponsored by Barrister Oshodi. He had to give him a coach right there in Portugal, and he had to adjust. In fact, he said that the federation had to tell that coach to come back because they could not, continue to pay for the ticket again. And he had to come back, and he now had to beg. Honestly speaking, Samson, this is an icon. We're talking of Nigerian Haruna Quadri, and he had to come out after 15 years to talk about this. Trust me, in my mind, when I saw this story, I'm like, really? This should not be happening to a legend.
You see, the thing is, once these things do happen, and it is because most people don't talk about their challenges. That is why you don't get to see them, and of course you don't get to hear about what they have been through. But for me, I think Haruna Quadri, I've always known that something was going on because he's probably one of the only athletes in Nigeria that has not had issue with the Table Tennis Federation.
Yeah.
He has not come out,
to say
anything. He has always been going by his
Samson, on the show, right here, I think that was last week or last 2 weeks, I was speaking about his children. He said, but he made a statement, he said, I'm not sure if my kids will represent Nigeria.
Yeah, that is because he was already saying...
He was already writing up
this, and he knew it was time for him to call... when an athlete, takes time before saying some things, and then all of a sudden comes out to discuss it when they have piled it up, it shows that, when you want to leave and you are never coming back, there's a way you lock the door. And then when you want to leave and you are coming back, there's a way you lock the door. So you know exactly what you do at time. Let me cite an instance. When Cristiano Ronaldo came back to Manchester United, he bottled things up for the first year, and then the second year, he made some revelations. It was because he knew this will be the end, and I'm ready to bear the brunt. Regardless, he told other players, do not worry, I will be the sacrificial lamb. I will say it as it is. You will enjoy whatever it is that comes.
Not because I'm
Cristiano Ronaldo, but because someone has to, voice out and say something. Yeah. He came out and made some revelations. And it was after that things people were saying that were hiding in plain sight, people eventually saw beyond what they were saying. Take, for example, when there is a game at Old Trafford, and then, it rains, there are certain parts where if you are there, it's not different from you being outside the stadium. But nobody was saying it because nobody cared. But until Ronaldo said, look, a lot of things are wrong. Yeah. And we have to correct them. And people started looking for where those loopholes are. And that was when the video of, when there was rainfall, and then someone recorded and said, look, this is one of the things he was talking about. True. The gym center, he said, this is exactly how I left it years ago. And I meant it the same way. Nobody has done anything. It was after that some renovation happened. So someone has to, come out and make a statement. And I think if Haruna Quadri suffered this much, how much more people, other players in that, in that sport that have represented Nigeria that didn't say a thing because they felt, if Haruna Quadri could take it. We have had situations where Nigeria qualifies for a competition and they will not be represented. Why? Because nobody is going to foot the bill. And nobody is sending money to that federation to say, look, this is the budget for this competition. Mind you, when they come back and say Haruna Quadri has won, they say Nigeria has won. It's not Haruna Quadri has won anymore. But so we don't get to separate where individual success is and of course collective success. Now, if Haruna Quadri goes out to represent Nigeria, it's the Nigerian success. Let me cite an instance very quickly. Victor Boniface was traveling and I was at an airport and someone walked up to me and said, you're a black man. He said, yes. Do you know Victor Osimhen? He said, Victor Osimhen is my friend. He never believed because he didn't even recognize Victor Boniface. He just saw Boniface as an African man. So natural instinct told him he should be an African man. So he should have an idea who Victor Osimhen is. He said, Victor Osimhen is my friend. The guy never believed. He said, wait, let me call Victor Osimhen for you. And they called Victor on video call. The guy almost ran mad. So you know Victor as a person. So what I'm trying to say is, people will resonate with you based on your success. But it's just a challenge that the Nigeria setup, the setup in the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, be it table tennis, long ball, volleyball, whatever it is you are doing, really do not support, African players to succeed. And when they do succeed, they want to identify with them.
with you.
Haruna Quadri did a lot for Nigeria.
On,
and I knew something like that was going to happen.
If I don't even know anybody in table tennis,
I mean, you must have heard of Haruna Quadri.
Come on.
But when I knew something like that was going to happen, because he was actually the only person you would see in the world of athletics in Nigeria that has not come out to complain one bit. So something must have been going on. And he just thought it was time for him to break the news. It has not been rosy. So if you want to be like Haruna Quadri, these are the sacrifices you must.
Come on, either you make the right one. Or
now that he has come out to say this, I know he has made a lot of enemies. You know, some people, probably, those monies were actually released. Some people thought because Haruna Quadri, you know, really does not talk about it, will always find his way, they were spending the money. Now it's time for them to sit up. For every penny you have swallowed, be ready to, you know,
whosoever it is
only when the Nigerian system is not serious. That is when people will walk free.
And that's when this case will be swept under the carpet again.
Yes, that's but then I really feel for Haruna Quadri. If he has had to beg people for his own tickets, if he has had to buy his own meal while representing Nigeria, if he has had to buy his own, you know, bats, balls to train.
If there was no Barrister Oshodi in the picture, I'm sure there would not be an Haruna Quadri.
You would see that Barrister Oshodi has been around for a long time. He's now the ATTF chairman. And you know, you would see how passionate he has been with the game. So it's not a fluke that he finds himself as the chairman. See, one of the things that helps you is the fact that if you have been saddled with the responsibility, you don't wait until the government says, oh, this. Whether financially, morally, emotionally, you have to be there for the athletes who actually work with you day in, day out. And if you can get that done, I think you will succeed. And that's exactly why you see him as the chairman of ATTF.
All right. That's the update coming through from the world of table tennis. Haruna Quadri, and we hope that you know, things can change quickly. We're an advocate for change, and we are hoping that things can work out quickly. Now, quick one before we go. Let's look at the result that was played for the World Cup qualification right here in Europe. Yes, we have that been displayed on the screen. There you have it. There you have it being displayed on the screen. Wonderful game yesterday, and for me, Sweden did not get that one. There you have. We have Scotland, you know, winning. We have Italy, 5 goals to 4. Come on, massive one. 9-goal thriller.
It eventually became a shooting practice.
We have Switzerland. Yes, Sweden losing to Kosovo. We have Denmark winning to Greece, and we have Croatia also winning to Montenegro. Also, that one breaking. That's the only news we're going to take on this show left. Nuno Espirito Santo has been sacked from Nottingham Forest as the manager. For you?
I think it wasn't the right call. You know, when people, you know, get to exhibit, people would want to compare Ange Postecoglou with that of, you know, Nuno Espirito Santo. They would want to compare them, but I do not believe they are the same. I think, you know, Ange Postecoglou even won them, you know, a silverware in Europe. And, you know, the following season, they didn't really finish well. But the following season, it was, even before the season started, it was kicked out. Now, for Nuno Espirito Santo, his track record is there. He has been a Premier League coach for a few years now. He did so well with Wolverhampton Wanderers. And then eventually he ended up with Nottingham Forest. He went to Tottenham, then to Nottingham Forest. Even though I don't think he's that coach that can actually last for more than 3-4 years in a team. But then he deserves, you know, the benefit of the doubt. The season started just 3 games in, and someone has been booted out, and I think that is quite unfair. You know, some people deserve the chance to prove that they have still got it in them, and Nuno Espirito Santo is one of those people. He's a top coach. He's a quality coach.
He's taking them to Europe. He took them to Europe.
Right. In fact, they almost ended, you know, the season without qualifying Though you might want to say he had the opportunity of qualifying them for the UEFA Champions League. Unfortunately, Chelsea took that position from them, and then. But at this time, you know, that UEFA Europa League slot for Nottingham Forest last season was a top finish. It was a very good one for them. In fact, I would consider it a success. How do you send the coach away just 3 games into the season? I mean, it would have been better if you did a 5 give him an ultimatum of 5 games. If you cannot turn things around, then we bring a new coach. What gives you the idea or the the impression
Impression.
that if a new coach comes on board, is going to turn things
Turn it
around.
around.
Might even be worse than what we are seeing.
Coward,
We have seen
coward.
situations where coaches were brought on board to turn things around and eventually they relegated the
Yeah,
team.
true,
So
true,
it's
come on.
let's just see how that pans out. I think they are getting ahead of themselves.
Yeah.
They think they are a bigger team than a mid-table team, but unfortunately they are not. What kind of quality? What are the quality of players you have in your team? Would you compare your quality of players to that of Chelsea, to that of Manchester City, to that of Manchester United, and of course Liverpool, even Arsenal? So these are top 5 teams. So that's why I say to people, in the EPL, there's nothing like the Big 4 anymore.
Yeah.
We have the Big 7.
The Big Seven. The Big
So
Seven.
it has grown beyond that.
Beyond that,
And
that's the
one team will always leave the top 4
The top
for
four,
another
another
team.
team, yeah.
If that is the case, I don't think he deserves to be kicked out just like that.
All right, that's all we can take on the show as we draw the show to an end. For you, Samson, your prediction, South Africa against Nigeria, quick one.
Well, I see South Africa winning by 2-1. Right, yeah.
All right, there we have it. That's all we can take on the show. This what
Yeah, I mean, Nigeria, you
Come
might
on.
not want
No,
to,
honestly,
really,
no, I'm not.
you might not want to take my prediction.
The word I wanted to use just
But I
left
don't
to my,
see,
no, come on,
you are as good as your last game.
Yeah,
See what they
that's-
played against Rwanda.
that's fine.
I don't see them going to South Africa and getting all 3 points. I don't even see them getting a point. So 2-1, my prediction.
I'll be back here tomorrow to discuss the victory of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Join us tomorrow. Thank you so much, Samson, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.